Alright everybody, welcome back to Salt City Counseling. Once again, my name is Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful state of Utah. I hope everybody's doing good out there. I got a video today about high conflict divorce and custody, kind of specifically, well actually this video, the title of this video is my number one rule for high conflict divorce, custody, co-parenting, parental alienation, etc., 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 okay? This is my number one rule. I have different courses. I have different kind of curriculum, rules to follow, strategies, approaches, etc., for high conflict, divorce, custody, all that, right? Co-parenting, parental alienation, communication, etc., all that stuff. I have different courses and curriculum on those different topics. I have one rule that pervades or is consistent to all with every aspect of all of this, right? And I've shown that infographic before about how like you kind of have to manage like parenting and court and co-parenting and the other aspects of it. This is the one rule I recommend people to follow if for their high conflict situation. And this is hard, especially for apologetic parents. I call the apologetic parent kind of the opposite of the high conflict parent, because the apologetic parent is just, that's sort of their attitude, that's sort of their approach, that's sort of who they are. And I'm trying to break them of that. Not that you shouldn't ever apologize, but they often apologize too much. They sort of have that I'm sorry for being alive almost kind of a stance. And I recognize that kind of goes consistent with perhaps some of the narcissistic trauma that they've endured. So make sure that you go watch my video series here on YouTube on healing the narcissistic trauma. If you're an apologetic parent, if you have narcissistic trauma, you should definitely go watch those videos. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel. I'm super close to my first 1 million. So, subscribe, share, like, all that stuff. You know what to do. If you really like my content and you want to really help me out, you can hit the tip jar. All the links are in the description below. If you have viewer questions, scottc at saltcitycounseling.com. You will remain anonymous. And my new website is live. Go check out highconflictcommunity.com. Those links are in the description below. I created and updated new courses for high conflict, divorce, custody, and all that stuff. And in this video, I'm going to actually show this one rule. This is a slide. This is one of the slides from my new updated 12 rules for high conflict, divorce, and custody. This specifically kind of has to do with the court battle end of it, the court side, the side that might involve attorneys, judges, and all that fun stuff. But this is the one rule, okay, that pervades all of my content, all of my courses. Don't defend or explain yourself. Now, apologetic parents, they often have a hard time grasping this one. So, I'm putting this one out there where it's like, if you're in one of these situations, this is where I want you to kind of put your focus. Understand that that defending or explaining yourself is one of the things that people often do that works against them probably more than any other one singular thing, and that is that they're always defending or explaining themselves. I'm going to go through these points here. This is definitely the hardest rule to follow. Most apologetic parents, they do this, they don't even necessarily realize that they're doing it. An example that I gave in my course is one gentleman that I worked with. I went over this rule with him. Don't defend or explain yourself. Don't defend or explain your parenting decisions. And his ex-wife just completely went after him because during his parent time, I think this guy only had like every other weekend or something. He only got like 3 out of 14 days or something like that. And his ex went after because on Sundays he wasn't taking the kids to church. And instead of saying, don't worry about it, that's not your business, or thank you for letting me know your concern, right? There's a gray stone. That's a gray stone response for you right there. Thank you for letting me know of your concern. He got busy saying, oh, but I only get so much time, and there's so many things that we want to accomplish, and it was such a pretty day, and I wanted to take the kids to the park, and no, don't do this. Don't defend or explain yourself, okay? And here's the thing, high conflict types, especially narcissists, borderline, they often demand that you explain your choices and behavior, and this just works against you in so many ways. Okay, and there's just so many. Like, for example, it can set a standard in court that you just don't want. You don't want to set this standard in court that there's one person in the spotlight all the time. And the idiots in family court, they always go along with this. They don't see through it. They're morons. That one parent is always under scrutiny while the other parent gets off scot-free, right? It's so ridiculously biased that it just seems like once a spotlight lands on one parent, it's hard for that parent to get it off of them. And so that's sort of what this will do. The more you defend or explain yourself, the more that spotlight will rest on you. So it can set a standard in court that you just don't want. This is one way that high conflict parents manipulate their way into dominating the court, dominating the narrative in the court. Another reason is that in their perspective, defending or explaining yourself is the admittance of guilt. They will treat you like you're guilty. Okay. This is another way that they will take this. They'll take your explanations and they'll warp it into a narrative. They'll distort it into painting you into a picture. Another reason for this, I don't necessarily in this particular course or in this particular curriculum, the more you may have noticed, the more that you defend it or explain yourself, the more you're giving them ammo to use against you, and they will just decimate your character, and you feel smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Hey, you feel smaller and smaller and smaller, and the smaller you feel, the more powerless you become, the easier it is to manipulate you, gaslight you, enact parental alienation against you. The more that you feel like you have to explain yourself or defend your decisions, the more you're going to reinforce that narcissistic trauma. So those are some of the main reasons why you should not defend or explain yourself. Here are some alternative responses, okay? I'm not accountable to you. I don't have to explain myself to you. What does that have to do with anything? Why is that an issue? Why is that a problem? One response, by the way, that I've heard from high conflict parents many times is a high conflict parent will say, well, that's what the kids want. Okay, so we should just give the kids everything that they want? Is that what you're saying? That falls into the Socratic questioning method that is covered in my high conflict communication course. Another response was an example that I gave earlier of the gray stone. If you're not familiar with the gray stone, that's probably going to be a different video. That's really just an assertiveness tactic to become as bland and forgettable and whatever as humanly possible, so you don't take on more attention than you want to take on, right? Negative attention. But another response would just be, thank you for letting me know what your concern is. Okay, and just state that. Okay, so don't defend or explain yourself. I know that the apologetic parent, they do this a lot. So that was just one slide from my 12 rules for high conflict divorce and custody. I have 4 courses currently. There's going to be more is to come, but currently I have 4 main courses. Sounds like a meal on my website. They are this course on 12 rules for high conflict divorce and custody. It used to be 5. I've upgraded it, and I've upgraded it because I realized that my previous 5 rules didn't help parents win the psychological game. It was really just like sort of concrete rules for court. The new updated 12 rules have rules that are intended to help you win the psychological game a little bit better too. So I went from 5 rules to 12 rules, but there's this one. I just showed you a slide from that. There's my 14 rules for high conflict divorce and custody. There's my parental alienation course, and then my course on high conflict communication. You can also purchase them in the super pack, where you get, if you purchase the super pack, you get all 4 for the price of 3. So go check it out. All the links in the description below, or highconflictcommunity.com. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.